People don't feel broke because of what they earn. They feel broke because they're trying to live one level above where they actually are. Even a raise doesn't fix that. You upgrade things, but the pressure sticks around and you still feel behind. In this video, we're breaking down why that happens and how to stop chasing a lifestyle that was never built for you in the first place. In the creative world, there's a concept called the taste gap. It describes the frustrating gap between your taste, so what you recognize as high quality work, and your current skill set, which can't yet produce that quality. For example, a new filmmaker might love the movie Inception and dream of making something just as complex, but the first few films that they make fall short because their skills haven't caught up to their vision. Now this can be extremely frustrating because you know what good looks like, you see it on screen all the time, but you just can't create it yet. The solution is continue creating, mastering your craft, and repeating this process many times until your abilities eventually align with your taste. I was explaining this concept to a friend the other day, and it made me realize that this idea doesn't just apply to creative work, it's also a perfect lens for understanding personal finance as well. Just like aspiring filmmakers have to bridge the gap between their taste and skills, most of us need to bridge what I like to call the financial taste gap, the difference between the lifestyle we want and the financial level we're actually on. And choosing to ignore it is why we see so many people struggle financially. We're surrounded by images of people living better than us, friends with nicer cars, coworkers taking fancy vacations, or social media showing off lifestyles that we don't have. Videos like how to manage your money like the 1%, or ads urging you to shop like a billionaire from Temu promises that copying wealthier people's habits will make you successful. But this advice often sends what I consider to be a sneaky lie dressed up as common sense. Trying to live or manage your money like someone wealthier than you, whether they're just a step ahead or way out of your league, is like a rookie filmmaker trying to recreate Tropic Thunder with a smartphone and some action figures.
I don't believe you people.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
It's not just unrealistic, it's a recipe for frustration, debt, or financial ruin. Wealthier people have higher incomes and resources that you might not have, so it's silly to think that you can manage your money like them or even shop like them based on your current financial reality. And that's the financial taste gap, where your taste for a richer lifestyle outpaces your actual income or resources. I kind of like to think of the financial taste gap in different income levels. We all start at one of these levels I just made up, and throughout our lives, we've moved up to higher ones and in some cases down. If my income is currently at the upper end of level 4 and you're around the midpoint of level 7, then we're talking a roughly $80,000 gap, which is pretty big. I might admire your lifestyle at that level, but there's no way I could keep up. You just make too much money for me to match you. While this is true on a dollar for dollar basis, that financial taste gap is still going to impact me even though I earn less. There was a study done in Canada from 2004 to 2014 that looked at the impact lottery winners had on people who lived in their neighborhood. It involved a little over 7,300 lottery winners who won between $1,500 and $230,000 in today's dollars. They found that a $1,500 increase in lottery winnings raises the likelihood of neighbors' bankruptcies by 2.4% over the next few years. For a prize equivalent to the median annual income, the neighborhood bankruptcy rate increased by about 6.6%. To make it worse, the study also noted a significant increase in secured debt like mortgages and car loans, which are tied to more visible purchases that we can see. I just found this extremely interesting because in most cases, these people didn't file for bankruptcy because of a random credit card splurge. They took on debt to overspend on things their neighbors could actually see, to almost say, hey, look at me, my finances are good enough so I can spend money too. It's a clear sign of how social pressure fuels what I like to call status spending. Will Storr, in his book The Status Game, makes the case that status isn't some shallow modern invention. It's a survival instinct. Back in tribal days, higher status meant you were more likely to eat, mate, and survive. Low status meant danger, exclusion, and even death. So today, even though we're not living in caves anymore, our brains are still wired to chase status just through different means. Instead of hunting for the biggest animal, we're hunting for the nicest house, the nicest wardrobe, or the most enviable social media post. Storr explains there are three main ways we play the status game: dominance through power over others, virtue through being seen as morally good, and success through achievement, wealth, and influence. Most of what we see online and most of the financial taste gap is built around the third one, success. But here's the catch. Once you step into the success game, it never ends. You don't win status, you just move the goalpost. The person at level 4 is chasing level 5. Level 5 is watching level 7. And level 7 is probably still worried that they're not doing enough. It's like a treadmill that speeds up the more you run. This is why the financial taste gap is so tricky. It's not just about stuff, it's about our place in society. The car, the home, the outfit, the vacation. These things aren't just purchases, they're identity signals. They're saying, hey, look over here, look where I rank. And because status is relative, not absolute, you can earn more than ever and still feel behind just because the people around you moved up too. This is why we even see billionaires get jealous. There's always someone with a hotter wife and a bigger yacht. It is one big dick measuring contest, and we don't have enough money to compete.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club.
We've already seen how people at much higher income levels due to lottery winners can unintentionally cause others to overspend. But honestly, that's not the biggest problem. Since a lot of this is relative to the people around you, the real trap is chasing lifestyles just slightly above your own, where overextending feels possible and even logical, but leaves you financially vulnerable. You might think, if I take on a little more debt or skip some savings, I can vacation or buy a house like the person one level higher. This is where people get into trouble. And it's no coincidence. There are billion-dollar businesses out there ready and willing to take advantage of you here. The housing and car industries thrive on this kind of thinking. There's a reason realtors always show you at least one home just outside your budget. There's a reason car salesmen and women will show you the one at the top or slightly outside your budget. There's a reason lenders base the mortgages they'll give you on your gross income instead of your net income. Now, why in the world would I base how much I spend for a house on an amount of money that literally never enters my bank account over the next 12 months? They're not trying to help you find what's affordable. They're trying to maximize how much you think you can afford, because the more you stretch, the more commission they make. Incentives drive behavior. But it's not just homes and cars. Furniture stores, wedding planners, even college admission offices. Entire industries are built around nudging you to go just a little bit bigger. Upgrade the couch, add the honeymoon package, sign up for the top college experience because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. All of it feeds into the illusion that it's okay, normal even, and almost expected to live a lifestyle one level above where you're currently at. It gets to a point where you're not just keeping up anymore. You're being told that not keeping up is somehow a failure. And because it almost feels doable, it's incredibly tempting since, hey, what's a few extra $1,000 here and a few extra $1,000 there? But these little financial stretches repeated enough times becomes the reason people stay broke even as their income goes up. The financial taste gap is interesting in that it's one of those silent clouds that follows you around everywhere you go your whole life as you earn more money. Because every time you level up your income, there's another version of this life that you've never seen, waiting just right above it, tempting you to stretch again. Now here's the good news. You don't have to ignore your taste. You don't have to pretend that you don't want nicer things or shame yourself for wanting more. The key is learning how to intentionally close the gap without buying yourself into debt, sacrificing your future, or getting stuck on the status treadmill. So here are 4 ways to start closing the gap the right way. As I mentioned before, we're all playing status games. The clothes, the car, the job, the neighborhood. It's all a part of the game. And as Will Storr mentioned in his book, this drive shouldn't be looked at as a flaw. It's human nature because chasing status is how our brains are wired to survive and feel valued. The issue is that most of us are playing these games blindly. We don't realize how much our spending, stress, and self-worth are tied to trying to look like we've made it. We think that we're making choices, but most of the time, we're just reacting to what the people around us are doing. The truth is, you can't win the status game, at least not in the way most people are playing it, because once you reach one level, the game resets. So instead of trying to beat everyone at their game, Play a different one. Play the game where stability and control are the real flex, where you're not chasing praise, you're chasing personal progress, where the goal isn't to look rich, but to quietly build real wealth and freedom that you can't necessarily see. It doesn't mean you stop caring completely. It means you start caring about the right things. Things that can't easily be taken away, repoed, or worn just once for a photo. You can't win their game, but you don't have to. You can redefine the scoreboard, and that's how you actually win. One of the fastest ways to widen the financial taste gap is to level up your lifestyle before your income actually supports it. There's nothing wrong with wanting more, but if you don't set boundaries, you'll keep upgrading your lifestyle before your income is caught up. So here's the rule. If you can barely afford something, then you cannot afford it. If you're going to level up your lifestyle, you have to level up your income first, or at the very least, level them up at the same time. Not 5 steps ahead, not I'll figure it out later, not this feels affordable if I don't look at the numbers too closely. The math has to make sense. This is where the idea of act your wage comes in. It's not about being frugal forever or never enjoying your money. It's about accepting that your current lifestyle matches your current income, and there is nothing wrong with that. We need to normalize being perfectly fine with saying, nah, you know what, I can't afford it right now, instead of, sure, I'll figure it out later because I deserve a lifestyle upgrade, while silently stressing over how to pay for it. I remember working at my first job out of college and not earning very much. I could have gotten a very nice place on my own, but the money would have been extremely tight after that. I didn't cry, I didn't whine like some little entitled prick about how unfair the world was, because I deserved to be able to afford somewhere by myself. I shut my mouth, rented a house with my sisters, and had roommates for several years after that, until I eventually bought a home with a monthly payment that was at least a third of what I could technically afford. Once you build a strong financial foundation of enough income, some margin, and consistent savings, then go ahead and upgrade. But until then, put your head down, get to work, and keep your lifestyle aligned with what your money can actually support. There's a Stoic idea that's incredibly underrated in personal finance. Wealth isn't about having more, it's about wanting less. It's easy to think that the only solution to the financial taste gap is always to earn more so we can finally afford to live the lifestyle that we've been eyeing. But part of closing the gap isn't about chasing, it's about reframing. Marcus Aurelius said, "Do not hanker after what you do not have. Instead, fix your attention on the finest and best that you do have, and imagine how much you would long for these things if they weren't in your possession." That's not just fluffy, feel-good advice. It's training your brain to see your life from the outside in, instead of always looking at what's just outside of your reach. Because the truth is, if you're constantly focused on what's next, you'll never enjoy what's right now. And that's how people end up feeling broke at every single income level. They never stop to realize that the stuff that they once dream about is now their everyday life. It's the same idea with how we all reminisce about the good old days, but fail to realize that the time we're living in right now will eventually be the good old days. So try this. Don't just scroll past your own life chasing someone else's level. Look around at what you already have and realize that if you lost it tomorrow, you'd probably want it back. This mindset won't replace the need for income or ambition, but it helps you stop filling emotional gaps with financial decisions. It helps you slow down, and it helps you stop moving the goalpost long enough to feel like you're actually winning the game you're already in. Question social norms when it comes to personal finances. Question all of it, because a lot of what we're told is normal is exactly what keeps people stuck. It's normal to finance a new car every 5 years. It's normal to carry a mortgage that eats up 40% of your income. It's normal to celebrate a raise by upgrading your lifestyle immediately. It's normal to feel broke at 6 figures. It's normal to never retire. Just because something is common doesn't mean it's smart. And just because everyone around you is doing it doesn't mean it's working. This is one of the reasons I've always appreciated some of the ideas behind the FIRE movement. While it's not perfect, the general ethos is clear. Reject the script, live below your means, question the timeline, and don't assume that you have to work until 65 just because that's what everyone else is doing. They're not chasing what's normal, they're chasing what actually works. You don't have to follow their exact path, but adopting that sort of mindset of questioning everything is very powerful. Because once you realize that most people are just copying each other without stopping to think if it makes sense, it becomes a lot easier to opt out, find your own lane, and build a version of success that actually fits you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Hit that like button before you go. Check out the description to help support the channel. Done.